Coming up today, I'm going to go through my experience at the Walt Disney World Half Marathon, my first Run Disney event on Traveling with the Mouse. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 482 of Traveling with the Mouse. My name is Adam, and I am joined today by John.
Wait a minute. I love that idea.
You gonna get those references in before Aerosmith goes away?
Yeah, maybe so. Although I didn't get a ride in before Aerosmith went away.
What was the reasoning?
Well, I mean, we'll get to my stuff eventually, but this is about your trip.
Probably next week. But yeah. So yes, I did finish. That was the cliffhanger on the last episode because we recorded before that, and I was like, maybe I'll make it, I guess. But yes, I did survive. And it was my first Run Disney event, so I kind of go through that process of sharing some things that I learned.
Yes, sharing is caring, and caring is nice.
So for those who might be curious about doing one or haven't done one in a while, maybe, I don't know. I'll go through my experience, but I'm glad I did it. Now, of course, everyone's asking me, are you going to do the full marathon or the dopey challenge or at least the goofy challenge? Maybe? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I need time to let this one marinate before I try to do anything more, but a full marathon is no joke.
Oh, I imagine not. The half marathon is no joke.
Yeah, it was a challenge. So I'll go through kind of my results and everything too. I won't go through step by step of the trip, but there were other things that we did that I will mention too. Jason isn't on this episode, but he joined us during this trip as well. And it was his 40th birthday last week. And so we did celebrate his birthday at the Cake Bake Shop on the boardwalk. So we did check that place out.
Yes. I'm sure that was a pretty penny.
It wasn't terrible. I mean, it was definitely pricey. It was signature level. Right. I mean, if you're celebrating a birthday, I guess it's worth the price. But we only got one piece of cake to share for $22, was it? $21.50 or something like that for a piece of cake. But it was very good. I mean, the cake was delicious. My wife is a cake connoisseur, and she thought it was great. So she said it was worth it, actually, the price of the cake.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. She did say it was worth it. I'm trying to remember I got the salmon because I was the night before the marathon. So I was all in my head and the nerves and everything. So I just ate salmon at the light. What did they eat? They ate something, but it was good. They loved it, whatever it was. I don't even remember what it was. Anyway, I'll have to look it up. But in general, it's very fancy looking. Everything's white or pink, but it felt like the Grand Floridian, as we said, felt like it belonged at the Grand Floridian. I couldn't help but think of the contrast between, the ESPN club that was there, and now it's the complete opposite.
Right. Exactly.
As far opposite as you can get.
Right.
From a sports bar. But but it was good. I will say the food. Oh, it was the gumbo, I think. Jason and my wife both ordered that, and they liked it. The kids liked their kid food too. So anyway, I can't say I wouldn't go back there. I would definitely go get another piece of cake. We stayed at Pop Century. Is my first time there in a couple of years now since I've been back there, and it's convenient being on the Skyliner. We just took the Skyliner to the boardwalk and did the Cake Bake Shop. Only problem is by the time we finally finished our meal, Epcot was closing, and so the line for the Skyliner was getting long. But otherwise, it was a smooth transition. But I'm here to talk about the half marathon experience. So let me get to that. The first thing, you have to go back like 8 months when I had to sign up for this. I talked about it before, but it is not easy to sign up for a RunDisney event. Of course, Disney has a paid, I guess, membership, the sort of thing that you can get that gives you first access to the RunDisney events, among a few other perks, but I don't think it's worth the price, of course. So that's how you can kind of guarantee you a spot. But otherwise, you kind of have to get lucky. I joined the queue. It's kind of like joining a virtual queue for like,
And we all know how that can be when it comes to Disney, virtual queues. And
right. Well, it's more like, yeah, those pass holder previews or what they, those kind of things.
you have to be available at the very nanosecond that it opens.
Right. And it doesn't necessarily open when they say it does. So it's like I was on the site,
You're
but I
like
guess it
refreshed.
opened early. Yeah. So anyway, I got in, but I was like 5 minutes from missing out because a friend of mine was going to do the race with me. He didn't get in, but I was 5 minutes ahead of him in line, and I was just barely able to get in. My bib number was like 49,000 or so. I think that was maybe why. But anyway,
It's just crazy.
yeah, I was near the end.
Who'd have thought this many people were begging to run?
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you how many people actually finished the half marathon too. I have those stats, but
Oh, you mean there's people that didn't finish at all?
that's what, yeah, there was, I don't know how many. It doesn't show how many didn't finish. It just shows how many did finish.
I would just think if you're going to do that, even if you just walked, I mean, you should at least finish, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a few people though. Like I saw somebody post online that they were doing the dopey and they were afraid that they were going to hurt themselves. So they stopped the half marathon and just,
interesting.
apparently you still get a medal, but they put like some kind of mark on it to show that you didn't finish. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's true, but
It's like you started the
yeah,
half marathon.
right. So I don't know. But yeah, you have to sign up very far in advance. And I think in our last episode, we talked about it. I think it's coming up very soon, early February.
Yeah, it's like as
or
soon as you
next
finish,
year.
you get to sign up again.
Yeah, right. So now I have to make a quick decision if I'm going to try to do the full marathon next year.
Full marathon is 27 miles, right? 26 miles?
26.2, yeah,
Yeah.
at one go.
I know something like
A
that.
lot. Yeah, 26.2. I think this is the only full marathon on Walt Disney World because I think the others are either halves or 10Ks or things like that. I think. So I think this is the only one. So yeah, you have to sign up way in advance is the first thing I was going to say. And that's, I think though last year it was like early April that I did it. So I signed up and got in. So once I knew I was in, then it's like, okay, I'll start training. And then they give you some info like a month before, but I had to, you have to show up at least a day before your event, whatever event you signed up for. By the way, it was like $240, I think, to sign up for the half marathon. So it's not cheap if you're going to do it. And if you do the dopey, I can't imagine how expensive that is. It's probably like $1,000 if you're trying to do dopey because they're all like $200 a piece. Like, but anyway, there's an expo at the Wide World of Sports. That's where you have to go pick up your bib and you get a free shirt as part of it. And then you know, there's a bunch of merch. Oh, and the other good thing is if you're staying at a Disney resort, they do provide buses, but they're not Disney buses to the Wide World of Sports.
Are they mirrors?
Some of them were, but I don't know if they all were. And the one I was on was not labeled, and it definitely wasn't a Disney bus.
Gotcha.
It was also like 100 degrees in the bus, even though, I mean, it was kind of chilly, the weather, but it wasn't that cold. But yeah, so they'll shuttle you to the expo at Wide World of Sports. And then, of course, the morning of the race, they shuttle you to Epcot where it starts. So that was helpful. I didn't have to drive, thankfully, because it was a mess to try and drive, as my wife found out. So the first, I'd been to Wide World of Sports before for a couple of things, but this was the first time for a Run Disney event. When you get there, there's 3 different buildings. They spread everything out. The process to pick up the bib was sometimes, some people say they wait a long time. I think it was like 20 minutes for me. It was a very long line, but it was moving constantly. You finally get into the stadium floor. I think it was like the State Farm, something like an
State
arena,
Farm.
something like that.
Oh, I was about to say State Farm Arena.
Something like that. Yeah.
What?
I don't remember the exact.
Isn't
But
that?
anyway,
And you were a long way from the marathon.
right. Not that State Farm arena, but it was like, yeah, it was State Farm Field House is what it
Okay.
was. It's basically like a arena, small arena.
I was about to say, that was a long way to go if it was State Farm Arena. Like you just came from there.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway,
I know what you mean. But anyway, you go in there and you get your bib. It actually was a very simple process. I signed a waiver online, so I didn't have to stand in another line to sign a waiver. So you go, there's like windows where your bib number. So thankfully, you get in a short line based on your bib number, and then you show a badge, like a ticket that they email you to prove that this is your number. And then they funnel you out to the next building, which is like the athletic center where the expo is. The expo is like tons of fitness related companies that are just trying to sell you stuff. And, Disney being Disney, the t-shirt pickup, your free shirt that comes with it is like all the way in the back. So you basically have to walk through the entire expo to get to the t-shirt pickup. So you have to kind of see what's on the floor of, people trying to sell you a Peloton or athletic shoes or, protein bars and stuff like that, all the fitness type stuff.
did you purchase anything?
No, but I did discover some things like these Jelly Belly makes these energy beans, which I didn't know existed.
Energy beans.
Yeah.
Isn't that called coffee?
Well, they're like jelly beans, but they're like Gatorade in a bean form. I don't know what you want to call it.
Okay.
But they were actually really good. They handed them out during the half marathon at like mile 9 or something. And they were like, gave me a boost of energy. It was very nice.
So it did.
I was
Sure they
looking
didn't hand you speed?
I mean, maybe. No, but you also can preview the medals. They do have like a bunch of photo op places, but the lines were so long. I was trying to get in and out of there. So I did that. And then on the way out at the Advent Health Arena, another building, like kind of on the way out, is where all the merch is. So I did buy, I bought the pin of the medal. I bought a mug, of course, little things like that. Some of them, how Disney's merch is, like the front is like, oh, I like the little logo or whatever. And then you look at the back and it's this giant, like Spirit jersey looking thing in the back.
Yeah, that's the way it is with their shirts a lot now. I mean,
Yeah.
I find very few shirt designs that I like, although that happens occasionally.
Yeah, there's not a lot. There was one La Cava hoodie I almost bought, but it, I had like the little La Cava logo on the front, but of course on the back it's like this giant thing. I'm like, I hate the giant thing in the back. But anyway,
I pretty much just wear traveling with the mouse gear in the park now. So,
oh yeah. So where can you get that?
well, I mean, there is a Spreadshirt store where you can get that. Do we still have the other store that we were trying to start up, or did they not like our design?
That too. Yeah. Well, yeah, they're both linked.
They're both
the
linked.
Challenge Runner shirt is linked there.
It's funny.
Anyway.
I was looking at our logo and I'm like, I'd be shocked to see if we could get away with this design if it was new, right? Like if it hadn't been previously approved. I almost feel like it wouldn't.
Right. Thankfully, they haven't gone back and
yeah, nobody's gone back and looked.
Speaking of, I did wear that shirt as you saw on
Mhm.
the, race, so I wore my Traveling with My shirt. Actually, funny story too, one of the cast members who was handing out I guess right at one of the stations where they're handing out waters and Powerades or whatever during the race, he was on a microphone and he was just, like, making comments about people running by, and he was like he saw my shirt and was like, "Oh, Traveling with the Mouse. I listen to that podcast all the time." I think he was just being funny, but he saw that it said podcast, like Traveling with the Mouse podcast. He
He might not have been. You never know.
he was
I
like,
mean
"Traveling with the Mouse podcast, one of my
I mean
favorites." Okay.
I mean, you were, looking at our stats recently, and apparently had a 50% increase this year, so
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody who's joined us. So, as far as the merch, like, it's like they always have a ton of stuff that honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the Run Disney logo. It's too like yellow and blue, and I don't love that color palette, but the marathon logo stuff I liked, that logo. I can't really see it, but
I'm trying to see it. I can't tell if it's your camera's blurred or my eyes are blurred because it could be
it's
either.
probably that one. This logo is it's still blurry. Anyway,
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know why it's so blurry. But yeah, that logo is better. And I got a mug with that on it and a couple other things. You can't see it, but that's the 13.1 magnet, but I'm not putting that on my car.
Nice collection of magnets, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I have so many. But anyway, yeah. So then I got out of there. I didn't stay long at the expo. But once you get your bib has like an RFID strip on it. So my wife was able to track my location via that. Like there's a website you can go on and it'll tell you like my finish time based on my speed and location and all that.
Oh,
So
cool.
she was tracking me that way during the race. And of course, at the end of the race, that's how you know your past photos will show up based on that. Like, so it links it to you, or you can find them based on your bib number and all that. And your stats will show up at the end too. So that's cool. They kind of track you that way.
Which they've always said that they don't track via the RFID.
Yeah.
That's what they always tell me anytime I ever ask them to.
But of course they do. But this was the shirt that you got for free.
Oh, cool.
And then it has the sponsors on the back, whatever. But it's like a nice little, athletic running shirt, whatever.
How much running
Uh,
have you done since the marathon?
None. I've taken the time off. And it's also been like 15 degrees every morning the last week. So, but yeah, I'm just kind of like chilling after I did it. I think maybe I'm a little bit like, don't know what to do now that I like accomplished this thing that I was working all year towards last year. So, like, now what? So I guess I do need to sign up for the full if I'm gonna.
Yeah, you're supposed to. Exactly. You're supposed to be like Rocky at this point. Supposed to go on to
Instead,
the
I'm
next
like,
challenge.
right. Well, instead, I'm like Forrest Gump, and just like that, my running days was over. All right, so race day was an interesting day. Thank goodness I sat next to this lady on the bus who was four-time dopey runner. And I apologize, I cannot remember her name because I'm terrible with names, but she was from St. Louis, and she gave me probably the best tip, me being the bathroom guy, um, as you know.
Yeah, but that's
Sh
because of your son. Your son wasn't with you.
Right, well, but this was a very helpful tip, actually. So, during the race, there's, porta potties all over the place, and there's always a line for them. There's a line for characters and a line for porta potties. So if you have to go during the race, she said, if you can make it to Magic Kingdom, the bathrooms are open. And depending on the route, it could be the fire station bathrooms, which it wasn't configured that way this time. But thankfully, Adventureland bathrooms were my savior because
Ah.
otherwise, I wouldn't have completed my goal. I was trying
Really?
to do sub 3 hours,
Mhm.
and I beat that by 22 seconds. If I had stopped for a bathroom, I wouldn't have made it under 3 hours. So,
I see.
thankfully, I took her advice and waited till Magic
Okay.
Kingdom, which was pushing it because it was raining that morning. I got to Epcot at 3:30 AM. Race for me started at 6 because I was in Group G. I was in the last corral. Of course, I had this was my first race, so I really had first big race. So I had no time to get myself into a earlier corral. They sent them off in, like, 2 or 3 waves each group, so A got, like, 3 waves or 4 waves, so, like, every 90 seconds, another wave would go. So it took an hour. They started around 5 AM, and by the time my group went off, it was, like, 6:02 AM or something like that. It was raining. I was trying to hydrate before the race.
When you could have just hydrated during the race.
Yes, but I wasn't sure, it's my first big race,
I don't know.
so I wasn't really sure, like
You have plenty of hydration.
yeah. So, but it poured rain for, like, 45 minutes to, like, from 4 AM to, like, almost 5. I went to the bathroom right after that, but I got in line, to try and get early in the corral because I didn't wanna be, like, with the balloon ladies, which thankfully I never saw them, so I was thankfully I
The
never
balloon ladies.
yeah. That's what the pace setters that you have to keep. uh, They always have little balloons so you know where they are but thankfully I never saw them. But I was, like, in wave 2 of my corral. So once I got going, I was waiting for an hour, shoulder to shoulder with people, so I couldn't go to the bathroom. So I was waiting over an hour. I was hydrated up. So by the time the race started, I was like, "Oh boy, I don't know if I'll make it to Magic Kingdom," which is like mile 5 or 6. Will I make it? But thankfully I did, and that was probably the best tip I got was because I had considered like, okay, I'm just gonna have to wait in line at one of these porta potties. But thankfully, knowing that the Magic Kingdom bathrooms were open, I just walked right into the Adventureland bathroom and walked right back out, and you know, didn't take that long. So that was great. So next time, hopefully, my time would get me into at least like a D or E or F start corral, so that
Mhm.
I could start earlier. And I told you about the stats earlier. There was 13,099 people that finished a half marathon. I
Wow.
don't know how many didn't finish.
Well, all you have to do is find out how many participated, and then
Yeah, right. I don't know how
if they give
many.
you that.
Right. It doesn't say on the stats how many started. It just says how many finished. So it was
Huh.
13,099 that finished. I imagine there's a few, at least, that didn't finish. So
Right.
I was in the last corral. As I said, I was probably around 12,000 to 12,500 probably starting because so many people were in front of me. But my finishing place was 6,020. So I finished above half the field, I guess, which
Sounds like it.
not bad.
Not bad for a first effort.
And from where I started, but of course, the Disney events are like I'd say a good 1,000 or 2,000 people probably stop to take pictures with characters. Some
Mhm.
people in the full marathon will go out and do rides, like, they'll do, like, Everest. A lot of
In the
people do
middle.
that one in
Wow.
the middle and then come back and rejoin the race. So there's all kinds of things like that to kinda distract you, so it's not necessarily about the time, it's more about just enjoying the experience. So thankfully it stopped raining and it was about
Mhm.
60 degrees, so it was nice. The weather was perfect for that, minus the rain at the beginning, but or before. There was a lot of characters. It felt like one of those events, like those DVC events or like a, Christmas party, Halloween party where a bunch of rare characters are out. The one that almost got me to stop was Barbossa and Captain Jack were both out at Adventureland. Thankfully, I didn't
Okay.
stop because I would have messed my time up. But there was like Robin Hood, like,
That's a rare one.
yeah. I was trying to think of some of the other rare ones. King Louis, Baloo, those were trying to think of who else. Then they had like Daisy and Donald in different outfits, and you normally see them and stuff like that. I don't know, a lot of characters. I was trying to remember. I didn't write them down or anything, so
Mhm.
but there was a lot
Doing
of
it
rare ones.
doing it all from memory.
Yeah, but thankfully the Disney races have, I think every mile or so, there's at least, there's some bathroom porta potties. There's water stations where they'll hand you water and Powerade. There's medical tents where you can get, you know, Band-Aids or Tylenol or, all kinds of Vaseline or whatever you might need.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. And then they hand out some snacks here and there, not really. Like I said, the jelly beans were the only one I really remember getting, and those were really good. So I'm like looking to get more of those, but those are nice.
Interesting.
Um, I mean, they just gave you a little boost of energy when you're in the middle of trying to run.
I'd be curious to know what's in those beans.
Look them up. Yeah,
Maybe
do it.
Bean can set off the fireworks.
They're on. Yeah, they're on Amazon. But okay, so it started out. It's in the dark. You're at the Epcot parking lot. You're on the highway. There's not much really to see except there's a lot of music, a lot of they were trying to pump you up and keep you going, and then there's character meets and all this stuff. But it's kind of boring because you're running up World Drive. You don't really see much until you get towards the Polynesian Grand Floridian. Of course, there was construction area still there. But then you turn the corner and you see the Electric Water Pageant boats were out with the lights on. That was cool. Didn't expect that. But I will say that, with 13,000 or more people, some of the paths, like the pathway from Grand Floridian to Magic Kingdom, very busy. So
Right.
there's nowhere to go. So you're like, you can only go as fast as the person in front of you because you're kind of stuck. And so that's one of the major complaints I heard about it is there's too many people and you there's nowhere to go sometimes. You're just kind of stuck. Um,
Sounds like complaints about Disney, period.
right. Yeah. 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 And they say a lot of there's not as much running in the parks. But I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can understand you'd want to run more in the parks, but there's not that much room to run in there anyway either. So on that pathway though, from Grand Floridian to Magic Kingdom, that's when I was started texting you guys because I couldn't run. I was kind of stuck walking briskly, and I saw this guy make a beeline towards the fence where the monorail, I guess it would be the express monorail from Magic Kingdom, and he ran behind one of the like pillars to relieve himself. And I was like, dude, you could have, if you had just made it another, half mile, you could have gone to the bathroom in the Magic Kingdom and an actual bathroom. But this guy ran all the way over to E behind a monorail beam. So
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
I guess, but should have waited. But the other cool thing was when I ran finally into Magic Kingdom through the tunnel under the train station, as soon as I popped out, my wife and kids were right there. They were posted up right by the train station. Surprised me with, they had a little sign out for me and everything that they made. I had not expected them to get to Magic Kingdom by 7 a.m. or
Uh huh.
7:30, whatever it was. But that was a nice surprise to see them there cheering me on. So I stopped for a second and said hi and then bolted back because I had to go to the bathroom. and
Right.
then stopped at Ventureland bathrooms.
It's like, "Hi, bye."
Basically, yeah, I was like, "Gotta go." Uh, Plus, I was trying to make that time, and thankfully I made it. But I noticed a lot of people on Main Street, they were running over to the Tomorrowland Terrace bathrooms, but I knew the course went by Adventureland, so I'm like, "I'm gonna hold out and go to the Adventureland bathrooms," because they were going way out of the way to get to the Tomorrowland Terrace ones, when I'm like, "We're gonna walk right by Adventureland," so and there really wasn't any wait for the bathroom there, so that was perfect. Anyway, so
You chose wisely.
yeah, I did, yeah, and it cost me very little time to do that, so and then we go around, Frontierland and then back through the castle, which was a fun little, 5 seconds running through the castle, but that was cool, and then you go Tomorrowland and then exit back out, you know, the Homer exit, as we call it, between Carousel of Progress and Buzz, so where we exited, backstage and then back past the Contemporary on Rural Drive, under the water bridge, back to Magic Kingdom parking lot, and then back to Epcot. It was sort of energizing to go through Magic Kingdom, so that was fun. And then, it's a slog again to get back to Epcot.
Uh-oh.
But that's when they gave the energy beans right before that.
Okay.
And when we got to Epcot, I knew I was like pressing it on time. I was like, as soon as we got to the last mile, I just ran as fast as I could. I was like, if I get hurt, I get hurt, but I want to beat this time. I wanted to get under 3 hours. So that's when I kind of conserved as much as I could up until then. And then I was like, I'm just going to run as hard as I can. And I got my time by 22 seconds. Like I said, I was 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 38 seconds. So
There you go.
there was one other cool thing that I remembered was as soon as you exited, you weren't in Epcot very long. You kind of came in at the Seas and then you went through the middle and then you kind of turned by Mission Space and then exited backstage, kind of where Test Track-ish is. Between Test Track and Space 220 is where you exit. And the Japan drummers were right there waiting, like performing for us as we exited there, like the last little
Cool.
half-mile stretch or quarter mile, whatever it was. And that was fun. And then there was like one other character meet that was like 100 yards from the finish line. And I forgot who it was, but I'm like, I am not stopping for a character meet this close to the finish line. I don't know why it had a line because I'm like, I am not waiting to
You were
finish.
so focused, you don't remember who it was.
I do not remember who it was. I was just like, I'm not waiting.
Must not have been a very enticing one, at least not for you.
No, actually, none of them were, like I said, except the Barbosa Captain Jack was tempting, but nah, I don't want to do that. Yeah, so that was cool. The finish line, my family was there waiting as well. Jason was there too, waiting at the finish line. That was fun to
Nice.
see. And as soon as you cross the finish line, you're around the corner, they hand you your medal, and then they hand you a box of food and I think Powerades if you want them, whatever. They just start handing you stuff. Then you can, there's like a reunion area. There's a lot of walking after, by the way. It's huge to get out. So you're like, I think I was almost a full marathon by the end of that day. I was like 24 miles or something.
Probably.
Total walking. But anyway, what was I going to say? There's photo ops that I forgot to do. I should have done a photo. But the next day at Magic Kingdom, I did a photo with the medal and everything. I completely forgot to do it afterwards. I just got so distracted. But later that day, we were at Epcot. So what do you do when you're at Epcot to celebrate?
I'm guessing drink.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but specifically La Cava del Tequila.
Oh, yes.
Barbas was there. Yeah, he helped us celebrate quite a bit, a lot.
Okay.
And
So you got rehydrated just to get dehydrated again.
basically, yes, I had plenty of Powerade and everything
Makes
before
perfect
the
sense.
Cava. Yeah, it does. But I honestly, I was starting to get sore and kind of stiff. But the magic of La Cava. I didn't feel anything after I left.
You sure it wasn't the magic beans?
Yeah, maybe. Well, we had a couple of crickets. We had a couple of crickets with I don't remember. He brought us a bottle of something and imported, and he was like,
I
"This is a
see.
special
I'm
um
starting to
tequila."
I'm starting to notice a pattern about this whole thing. You got beans, you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
He brought you a bottle of something.
Well, he showed us the
Uh,
bottle, but I can't remember what it was.
your memory is either really bad or you
Oh,
were really whatever the stuff was you were given was
that
really
too,
messing
yeah.
with you.
It could have been, yeah.
Uh-huh. Anyway,
We also had some smoky ninjas, which was another good one on the
gotcha.
that's where we had the crickets with that. And we were also celebrating Jason's 40th birthday, so I forgot what else we had. I mean, the usual. I always get the corn old fashioned. It's another one of my favorites. So we celebrated there. The next day, though, I did want to mention this too. This is unrelated to the race, but we checked out the new tower at Polynesian.
Oh yes.
We had lunch at Wailulu Bar and Grill.
You sure that's how it's pronounced?
Yeah, it's what I think it's Wailulu. 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 And fantastic. I gotta say, it
Well,
was
most things are when they first open. So
that's true. Good point. But you saw that was their banana old fashioned,
Mhm.
the one on the light, and I forgot what the other one was. She got what did she get? I don't remember what it was, but it was fantabulous. And the
Fantabulous.
food, the poke bowl was very good, and I got like the chicken sliders,
Mhm.
amazing. But prior to that, breakfast we ate at Kona Cafe, of course.
Okay.
So that was, after a race, Tonga toast goes down very well. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Well,
that was
you got
very nice.
the potassium right in the bananas, right? So
Yeah, yeah. That was lovely. But I gotta say, the new tower looks great. I don't like the lobby bathrooms though, too small. Just to mention that. But they had Dole Whips as well for the kids to have for dessert. Yeah, I would go back there in a second. The Wailulu was awesome.
gotcha.
So really good stuff. And said goodbye to Tom Sawyer Island. I spent a lot of time on Tom Sawyer Island because it might be the last time. So hung out there and said goodbye to it. Proper. A lot of the effects weren't working, by the way. The snoring guy wasn't snoring, which I was disappointed by. Some of the other effects, a few weren't working. I forgot what some of the others that weren't working. Kind of sad.
Could be because it's days are numbered, but it could also be that it's Tiano's so close it's rubbing off on it. So
Who knows? Or the fact that Big Thunder's down and it's this whole area they're not.
I'm gonna say
Getting
Tiana's is
rid of.
affecting that whole area. Apparently, there's like a disease over there,
Or it could
an
be.
animatronic disease.
Maybe. Sad. I missed the snoring guy though. That was the one that kind of annoyed me. Oh, but I did, say goodbye to that bathroom too, which, one of my favorites, the Fort Langhorne bathroom. It's not big, but, it's very private. A lot of people don't even notice it's there, which I like that. It's one of my favorite bathrooms for that reason. Jason is a big fan now of the Germany's little drink spot in the back of the pavilion. You can get, he likes the chocolate shot. It's fine, but there's this pear drink that is really good if you like a good shot. They also have an apple one, but the guy was like, it tastes like apple juice, but I thought it was good. He was trying to encourage me not to get it. He's like, it's just apple juice.
Well, I was gonna say, well, like LeFou's brew is essentially frozen apple juice, but it's still good. So
Yeah. My son wanted to try those. Oh, what's the name of that cart? It's at Hollywood Studios where you have the churros. It's like Coca-Cola churros or something
Um,
across from
Coca
Baseline
there are
Taverns.
Coca-Cola churros?
Yeah,
Well, we got churros at that cart that's, like, right to the if
hydraulics.
you're facing it to the left of Runaway. That's not the one you're talking about, is it?
Mm, it's the hydraulic. I think it's called hydraulics, and it's Coke. They have a savor. It's the savory one. It's savory churros topped with Coca-Cola and bourbon candied bacon
Huh.
with sriracha aioli.
Okay.
Those are good. I thought those were really good, actually, surprisingly. Anyway, and of course, we saw the baseline. I have to do that. Mike was there. Shout out to Mike.
Even though he doesn't remember you.
Yeah. You know what else was unique? I don't know if they do this all the time, but when we were riding Alien Swirling Saucers, a cast member, a PhotoPass cast member, was taking photos of everybody on the ride.
Really?
So
Hmm.
he sent. I
I
posed
don't
for the picture.
Yeah.
So
I
that
don't
was pretty
recall
good.
getting any. I don't recall
But,
getting any. We rode saucers.
well, he was just taking pictures of everybody. Now I have pictures of like 20 other families riding this ride in addition to mine, but because he just scanned everybody's picture, but that was unique. I'd never seen that before. So that was new. Yeah. So all in all, I really enjoyed the experience of doing the marathon. I think I would probably try the full. I don't know if I'm dopey yet because it's $1,000 probably, but we'll see. Because you have to sign up for all four of them, which is kind of crazy. The Goofy Challenge is the half and the full, but that's like back to back days. Like that's a lot. That's 39 miles for the Goofy, and it's like 46 for the Dopey.
Well, you're still dopey to me.
Thanks. I'm not goofy too, or
Yeah, you're a little goofy as well.
thank you. I I can really try.
Uh,
Yeah, that was it. That was a fun
that was
experience.
it in a nutshell.
Yeah, the lady on the bus too. Sorry, I couldn't remember her name.
Yeah.
That really helped me a lot because she's like, it was her fourth dopey challenge. I said, and she was just like, "Oh, it's your first one. You're gonna be like all in your head about it, but it's gonna be fine. Just relax." And so that really helped because you don't really know what to expect. So your mind goes all over the place. So like,
Mhm.
if I do this, what happens if I, this and you just gotta stay ahead of the balloon ladies. It's really not that. It's not too crazy, but it is a challenge, of course.
Of course.
But now that I've done a decent time, I would probably, if I did the full marathon, I would probably try to take it easy to finish, meaning I might stop to see a character or two, or maybe even ride Everest.
Mhm.
Although I'd probably just want to make sure I finished. But so who knows what the course will be like next year because the Dino Land's going to be under construction. So
Well, yeah, some of it at least.
yeah,
How much is a question.
I know we'll get to your trip in the next episode, but Astro Orbiter was down. We had talked about that. So there was a bunch of, Hall of Presidents is down now. So
Apparently, some
Magic,
unexpected ones could be down.
yeah. So Magic Kingdom's got a lot going down currently, and Dino Land. I mean, this is the year of closures right now.
Mhm.
So I
It's
don't
the
know.
challenge here if you want a completion, right?
Yeah. So get your challenge shirt linked on our website, travelingwithmouse.com, if you want a challenge runner shirt, or if you
Yes.
want Traveling with the Mouse shirt to run in for I don't know if you signed up for the princess or the any of the other races coming up.
Yep. I would think that if you picked your dates properly, you could probably set like a record as far as finishing the challenge, the Parkeology challenge, if you wanted to.
Well, there'd still be an asterisk beside it.
You talking about because it's not every ride?
Yeah, because it's like
Why? That's like hasn't been the possibility in how long
I know,
for me. So I mean,
I
I
can't say
guess
I don't.
every completion is
Yeah,
going to be an asterisk. I mean,
right, yeah, right.
so
I can't say I wouldn't want to.
right, the completion is a completion in my book.
Yeah,
Now there are some that are just more fun, obviously, if it was more challenging, right? Of course,
yeah.
but if you just want to get that completion under your belt, it's some favorable
Mhm.
opportunities in the near future, we'll say.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all I got. Shout out to the cast member that mentioned the podcast. Shout
Okay.
out to the lady on the bus. Shout out to Barbas, for helping us celebrate in style. And I guess shout out to the cake bake shop because you do have good cake. Definitely good cake, but
Not a place you'll be visiting regularly still.
probably not. I mean, for if you really want cake, it's good. And shout out to Cava
If you really
Daisy.
don't mind spending the money, that's the other thing.
Yeah, right. If you're if you're have $22 burning a hole in your pocket, I know where to spend it. Although plus
Gotcha.
tax is probably more, but anyway, the Doll and Daisy. I do like this medal. It's cool. So
Cool.
I don't know what to do with it now, but it'd be weird to wear it everywhere. But yeah, I guess that's it. We're gonna wrap this. This is enough for this episode, I think, and then we'll jump in to your trip report in the next one.
Yes. So,
Where can we be found in the meantime?
well, we are still on the usual social media outlets. That would be on Facebook at TWTM Podcast, also on X and Instagram. Those are all at TWTM Podcast. We have a Spreadshirt store, as we mentioned earlier, where you can get your exclusive TWTM merchandise. That is shop.spreadshirt.com/TWTM Podcast. And we have a YouTube channel, which I hope to, in the near future, add a little bit to. You can also listen to our episodes there. Where can you find that, Adam?
Our website, travelingwiththemouse.com. You can email us podcast at travelingwiththemouse.com. And for John, my name is Adam, and we will see you on our next trip to RunDisney.
I probably won't be there.
Dopey challenge. Let's do the dopey together. Or
That's kind of funny, dopey, because, once upon a time, doping is like
nope,
a
it's a good
common
point.
thing with runners and bikers and everything.